call the meeting to order and ask for, well, save her for last. Roll call.
Mr. Fuller.
Here.
Mr. Coleman.
Here.
Mr. McCarthy.
Here.
Mr. Smith.
I am here.
Mr. Van Hoosen.
Here.
Mr. Weber.
H-E-R-E. She's
Our chance to make sure she's here. Don't want to appear late when we know she's here.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Say here.
Say here.
Mr. Attorney.
Yeah. Please join me in saying the pledge and join me in if you're able. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Minutes of the council meeting of April 19th.
I believe everyone has received a copy of the minutes, and hearing no objections, I am going to, with no objections, I will consider the meeting minutes passed. Sorry.
No objections.
We have no special reports, letters, communications, citizens' concerns. Do you have any citizens' concerns? If not, a couple items. First, I'd like to take this opportunity for a proclamation. The Smiths have been long-standing members of the community and have had a local business that we want to recognize and wish them very well in their retirement. I will spare everyone a lot of the whereases, but I'll read a couple of them. Whereas small business and the people with ideas and tendencies and tenacity to start them are the lifeblood of our community. Mini engine repair has been an integral part of the Perrysburg history for generations, beginning with Merle Smith, started the operation in 1973 in the old coal yard building located on Walnut Street at the railroad tracks. The Smiths built and moved their current location in August of 1998, continually providing quality repair service and friendly customer experience in their shop while playing a critical role in generating economic prosperity to our community. Whereas Mike and Barb Smith will be closing their doors on May 5th, 2022, and are preparing for their retirement. The city of Perrysburg wishes to honor their great all-American business and family and for its dedication and service to the citizens of Perrysburg and the surrounding communities. Therefore, Thomas G. Mackin, Mayor of the City of Perrysburg, and City Council urge all residents to join us in extending thanks to Mike and Barb Smith for their mini engine repair family, for their loyal and dedicated service, and wish them well in their future endeavors. Yeah, I'll go around. I got it. You guys got to get this.
Amber, this is where you scoot to the side if you don't.
Well deserved. Watch the official scramble.
Oh, yeah.
Here, why don't you guys come right here?
Wait a minute. Either we're going to be in it or out of it.
Yeah, can one of you take our pictures?
Mark, they want the picture to look good.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So, they are very grateful.
Barb, lunch. Watch one.
Oh, yeah. You guys want?
You well deserved.
They did,
I've been there.
yes.
I worked for him when we would run up there.
Oh, green machine.
Oh, I know. Tell me about it. I actually burned myself on the fucking muffler.
Thanks.
Congratulations.
How do you know you?
Congratulations.
Why?
That's right.
Thanks for everything.
Yes, thank you.
Probably have some questions with the carburetor
Yeah,
melts.
you will do that.
Yeah, no.
What's replacing? It's not working.
No, it's my snow blower needs some attention, so does my push mower.
And I will just say, in a personal matter, I really will miss them because always fix my mower. It's not an easy task. It's some things I broke.
And screens.
So, thank you. We also, administration has a opening for a volunteer for litter prevention and recycling. Service committee already met with Adam Cassie, a volunteer candidate. The committee voted and approved Rio to move forward with him as for confirmation tonight. So I'd like to make a motion, I would ask council to make a motion to confirm his appointment to the litter prevention and recycling board.
I will so move to make that appointment.
Roll call?
Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
Ms. Matroni?
Yes.
Mr. McCarthy?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Van Huzen?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
That ends my report, but we do have a resolution that's been discussed last council meeting that we need to move forward regarding the water tower.
Okay. I will, if it's all right with you, Mayor, I would like to introduce Resolution 42, 2022, and move the rules to be suspended to allow for its reading by number and title only. Dispense with second.
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
Ms. Matroni?
Yes.
Mr. McCarthy?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Van Huzen?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Resolution 42, 2022, authorizing change order number 1 to the State Route 199 Elevated Water Tank Painting Project Agreement approved by Resolution 61, 2021, and declaring an emergency.
All right, I move that Resolution 42, 2022 be passed as emergency measure.
Second.
Discussion?
I, again, think this is a waste of money, that we could use it elsewhere.
Just real quick, so we don't have the Exhibit A, I just want to make sure. This is the same design, Perrysburg is written the same way, it's going to be cobalt blue, and so are the silhouettes? Is that what's the change orders for?
The word City of Perrysburg is not in the same font. It would be in the new font for the branding.
Okay, and it's just Perrysburg though, right?
Correct.
If I could, I supported retaining the current design the last time we discussed that, but I've given that further thought, and I learned that this concept that the silhouettes on the tower connoted race, that was a thing kids knew years ago, and that kind of led me two different ways. I thought, well, if people thought about it that way years ago and it was never an issue and people didn't take offense, why is it a problem now? But in the amount of time we've discussed this, I think the perception of what those silhouettes represent has now become a reality. And for that reason, I think it's time for us to make a change to change that perception and that reality. And also, I had an interesting comment from an African-American guy who said something that's kind of stuck with me ever since. He didn't really have an issue necessarily with the racial aspect or claimed racial aspect of the drawing. He just said it's kind of old. And the more I thought about that, I mean, we were very proud of that design when the community came up with that, what, 20 years ago? And we were all very happy of what it represented as far as the community and the community spirit and the family orientation. But you know, it's been up there quite a while. It's a little old, and maybe it is time for that additional reason to move to a different design that may signify a little bit too that we're moving into a more modern phase. The sort of place that younger people might want to think about relocating to and don't necessarily find the old that old mural all that appealing or inviting. And so for those reasons, I will vote against the resolution. I think the time has come to take that mural down and go with something different.
Any other discussion? If not, roll call. Oh, sorry.
Just wanted to say one thing. Tim, I agree with just about everything you said, especially the part about
they're just updated. I have no problem with the silhouettes, and I talk to a lot of people that to get their opinions, including people of color, and people out of town, people have never seen it before. But the consensus was, it's old, it's outdated. I did get that. And like you said, it's a younger generation, but that's why all the more reason we should have engaged the public here and had an opportunity, given them an opportunity to come up with something fresh and an idea. So I'm hoping the next time it needs painting, and I'm gonna vote to maybe set this money aside, and hopefully the next time it needs painting or something, we can go that route and engage the public, and hopefully then we can come up with showcase some local talent, fresh ideas, and it doesn't even have to be people up there. It can be any kind of a scene, but it can be welcoming, because it is in such a strategic location that it's a gateway to our south end of our town. So I think it's important that something's up there. But I just want to make it clear, I really don't have a problem with the silhouettes other than they're just outdated. So, but when a change is ready to be made, then I would like to definitely include the public the next time a change is ready. So.
Any other comments? Roll call.
Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
Ms. Matroni?
No.
Mr. McCarthy?
No.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Van Huzen?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
No.
Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
Thank you very much, everyone. Moving on. City Administrator, we have a report.
No report.
Finance Director.
No report.
Law Director.
I just want everyone to be aware 42-2022 is not an emergency. It passed 4-3. It requires a 5-person majority vote to go forward as an emergency, just so everyone's aware.
It still takes effect but 30 days.
Yes, it does. It doesn't negate that it passed. I just want everyone to be aware it's not an emergency.
Do we want to tell people what was their deadline for the?
Oh, and I also have a reminder that there's a committee of the whole meeting, May 31st, 2022 at 6 p.m. to discuss land use plan.
Just one question, Kate. I mean, what you just said, does that affect the schedule of this? That it's not an emergency, or? Okay. All right.
The administration would just want to remind council that I think the ethics filings are due this month.
Thank you for the reminder.
Thank you for the reminder.
You have to fill it out yourself, you remember.
I mean,
Well, okay. Anything else, Law Director?
Nothing else in water.
President of Council?
Thank you, Mayor. No necessarily report, but I did want to share a comment. I know that we had a citizen last meeting, I almost said last week, come up and mention some concerns about the income tax and making the payment during that day. I actually had a few other citizens come up to me over this last week as well that had mentioned that they try to come after hours, and with the barricades that were still up over there, they didn't think that they were able to put anything into the after hours income tax. I guess there was a yellow chain around it, and so they ended up going back and putting it in the mail, but they wanted to put it in that box. I don't know the details, I wasn't there, but I just wanted to share that
I was
with you.
there Monday at 6 o'clock, and there was no barrier, although
It was over the weekend, so I don't know.
I was here Sunday and I walked right past it. I didn't see no change.
so we're not sure. We were happy to investigate that.
I would love to have more conversation about that,
Yeah.
but I just wanted to bring that to your
There's, I mean, if you could have a perception that you didn't want to pass the security thing,
Yeah.
but it was also clearly marked, this is where you put it down the chute. And there was nobody present, so there would be no security, I mean, logically, there would be no security barrier to just going up and do that. And I witnessed 3 people walk in while I was walking in, do that.
Okay.
So, but we'll be happy to maybe make some clearer markers maybe next year. Happy to work on that.
More conversation on the two, so. Thank you. That is the end of my report.
Thank you. Finance and Economic Development.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no report. Our next meeting is Tuesday, May 10th at 5:30. Actually, I'd like to, Jonathan, there's something you want to discuss?
So I've had a conversation with Amber actually before the meeting. I've talked with Kate as well. If I think we're still going to have the conversation outside, and then I'll probably do some sort of report back.
So Amber, there's
no need.
really no need for a meeting then. We're going to, all right, we'll just wait till June. All right, then the next meeting will be scheduled for the second Tuesday in June, 5:30 p.m.
June 14th.
We have before the Great Race, if nobody's remember calling for the Great Race.
That's right, the week before the Great Race.
No Safety Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Safety Committee meeting on April 26th commenced at 6 p.m. Committee members present were Jam Attorney, Barry Van Hoosen, and Mark Weber. Also present, Bridget Cabot, City Administrator, and Rudy Ruiz, Fire Chief. Citizens' concerns. Jim Mills, 626 Locust, requested that flashing lights be put up on Louisiana Avenue near the 7th Street intersection to call attention to the newly installed signs indicating the speed limit is 20 miles per hour during restricted hours. Mr. Mills said that he is a crossing guard at the intersection and motorists are not slowing down. He said that he has had several people ask what the restricted hours are. Ms. Cabot said that nobody stops at lights at the crossing of Cherry and Front Streets. And if people are looking at their phones, lights won't help. She said that she will bring this up at the monthly traffic committee meeting she has with the city engineer, police chief, and the fire chief. She also said she will check on the status of the grant application for the school travel plan that was last updated in 2009. Mr. Weber asked if, in the meantime, a police officer could be in the area during those times. Ms. Cabot said she will talk to the police chief because she doesn't know if they have the manpower. She said that there are other areas with similar problems. Mr. Weber asked about the portable speed trailer, and Ms. Cabot said she will check to see if it is deployed elsewhere. Mr. Van Hoosen thanked Mr. Mills for coming to the meeting, and Ms. Materney said that she wanted to thank all crossing guards for the service they provide. Minutes from March were approved with no objections, and under presentation on fire EMS calls for service data. Joe Froelich and Fritz Grossman, part-paid firefighters, gave a presentation to the committee on data from the ESO program that they have compiled into Excel sheets regarding fire and EMS calls. Mr. Froelich explained that the presentation was in response to Mr. Weber's questions regarding data mining. He said that the data provides information so they can focus risk reduction, education programs, and training. The data is also used as part of the accreditation process. The presentation included run data for 2019 through 2021 and is broken down by district and provided details such as the type of run, if the patient was transported, and to what medical facility, and what equipment was used. The data showed that over the 3-year period, 82% of the runs were for EMS. Mr. Froelich said that the information can be sorted to show that the busiest month is October, with Friday being the busiest day, and 11 a.m. being the busiest hour. The committee thanked Mr. Froelich and Mr. Grossman for their impressive presentation. Ms. Cabot said that she and the fire chief will pick out some of the spreadsheets and make copies for all council members. Discussion of parking at Walnut and 3rd Street. I had indicated that I had had a phone conversation with Ms. Cabot and asked for this to be on the committee meeting agenda regarding the parking at Walnut and 5th Street, and that this topic has the attention of most, if not all, of council. Ms. Cabot gave background information on the parking situation at Walnut and 3rd Streets. She pointed out that the Planning and Zoning Code does not allow perpendicular parking in the right-of-way unless it is actually paved, striped, and designated as parking. She added that on uncurbed streets, parking is permitted in the first 10 feet parallel to the road. She said that this area north of 3rd Street on the east side of Walnut has never been designated as a parking lot. Ms. Cabot stated that in April of 2021, Matt D. Wood, the property owner, reached out to planning and zoning about making the area in question parking and then turning it over to the city, similar to what he did with the parking lot on 3rd Street. Ms. Cabot said that unbeknownst to her, planning and zoning asked the property owner to have engineering plans prepared. The plans were circulated twice among the various city divisions that reviews plans, and the plans were rejected both times. The property owner then decided he didn't want to spend any more on the plans and asked if the city would do so. Ms. Cabot said that is the first time she was approached about this, so she and the police chief went out and looked at the location. The police chief's opinion, and she concurred, was that they did not want parking there because of sightline issues and the proximity to the intersection and the railroad tracks. However, people continued to park there. So last fall, a no parking sign with one arrow pointing to 3rd Street was installed. Another sign was added with 2 arrows pointing between 3rd Street and the first residential driveway. Mr. Weber asked if the sign was at the 50-foot mark, and Ms. Cabot said that she did not know. She said that they had had issues with construction vehicles and what appears to be the new tenants of the building parking there, even though there are signs indicating no parking is permitted. She said that they have given out numerous warnings but have not ticketed or towed any vehicles. She said they have received no requests asking for permission to park there temporarily to unload. Ms. Cabot said that in response to an email sent to some council members and from the tenants of the building regarding concerns they have because the owner created a handicap ramp, yet there are no ADA accessible handicap spots directly outside that ramp. The engineer, police chief, staff engineer, and service director are looking at putting in a couple of ADA spots at that location or across the street. She said that the engineers are looking at utilities, et cetera, for 2 10-by-20 ADA spots with a 10-foot walk aisle between them, and how close that would take it towards the intersection, to see if the police chief would be comfortable with that. She said taking parking out to the intersection is a hard line for the police chief, and she agrees with him. I had asked if that area was excluded from the site plan. Ms. Cabot said that it probably was because of the right-of-way. She said the site plan probably went out to the sidewalk, and she reminded the committee that a portion of the sidewalk and elevated patio was built in the city right-of-way without the city's permission because it was not built to the construction plans. She said it encroaches in the right-of-way along 3rd and Burlingwood, and the city had to do an easement. I asked if the city would pay for the ADA parking, and Ms. Cabot said that there had not been any discussion regarding that. I also said that this is a crucial development for the uptown area, and Mr. Weber added that parking is very important. Ms. Cabot said that she is having the planning and zoning administrator update the map of public and private parking in the downtown area. She said that they hope to have a design of the ADA spots done in the next couple weeks, and she can bring it back to committee next month or sooner if available. Mr. Weber asked if the city is going to hold off on grading and seeding the area, and Ms. Cabot said yes. Under other business, Mr. Weber said that he had noticed, and he has had several people reach out to him about the dotted line at the double left turn at State Route 25 and west-south boundary. He questioned whether we need another dotted line. Ms. Cabot said that it was discussed at the last traffic committee meeting, and the committee determined that another line was not needed, but in the interest of trying to assist motorists, they are looking at options. Ms. Materney suggested the use of traffic pattern chain signs, and they might also be beneficial for the reduced speed signs on Louisiana Avenue. Mr. Weber asked if there is any data on accidents at 3rd and Walnut, and Ms. Cabot said she will ask the police chief. The meeting was adjourned at 8:04 p.m. And our next meeting will be Tuesday, May 24th at 6 p.m. And that concludes my report. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Recreation Committee.
Thank you, Mayor. I do not have a report from a meeting, but I did want to make mention to all of council that we have now up to 4 vacancies on PrAC. So if you know anyone who is interested in getting involved with the city and the parks, we need 4 people to fill that here over the next few months. So reach out to anyone you know and see what we can do to do that. And our next scheduled meeting is June 14th at 6:30, or not June 14th, May
10th.
at 6:30 p.m. My apologies.
Thank you. Planning and Zoning.
Thank you, Your Honor, no report. We meet tomorrow at 5:30.
Thank you. Public Personnel.
We had no meeting this month. Next meeting is scheduled May 24th at 5 p.m.
Public Utilities.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have a report. In a meeting on April 27th, 2022, I called the meeting to order at 6:30 p.m. Myself, obviously, was present. DM Attorney Jonathan Smith, Bridget Cavett, Keith Sandretto, Alice Gotzi. Under citizens' concerns, I addressed a couple citizens' concerns that were received by email. Build-up debris in the drainage ditch on White Road near Wentworth Court. Both myself and Mr. Smith said that we looked at the map and it appears that the public portion of the ditch. Ms. Gotzi said that she will look into it. I'd also address some concerns later on that, of some standing water in the, I believe it was on Maple Street, and some other concerns of citizens in that area. With no objections, the minutes of the March 23rd, 2022 meeting were approved. The topic of the sewer credits tabulation. Ms. Gotzi reported that there were no sewer credits in March, but there have been 5 since her last report. Credits were due an outside faucet that was left on, a broken water line, and backup sump pump issues that brought the total year-to-date to $3,859. We had a lengthy discussion on stormwater regarding capital costs involved with stormwater issues, eliminating the SSO issue at Maple Street, Grassy Creek, and reduction of CSOs. Ms. Gotzi said that all of the projects will have an impact on ratepayer. The AECOM report offered options to eliminate the SSO. The least expensive option was option 1, but Jones and Henry engineers have raised questions regarding constructability issues for that option. They're currently evaluating the other options, and we have notified the Ohio EPA that it will take longer than we anticipated. Ms. Cavett said that the OEPA doesn't really care about stormwater. She said that what they want to do is an integrated plan to cover all 3 layers, but it is not an overnight fix, and our priority has been the areas we can get cited on. That could prevent renewal of our NPDES permit for the wastewater treatment plant. The committee discussed a grant program that helps homeowners pay to have clean water connections removed from the sanitary sewer connection. Ms. Gotzi said we can do another push for the grant program, but we are right around the corner from the city getting aggressive about making homeowners do it because the connections are illegal. There was discussion about rain barrels and rain gardens and the possibility of a grant program to encourage their use. Mr. Smith asked about education on various programs at the farmers market, etc. Ms. Cavett said that the chamber has offered space to the city and the PIO is working on it. And just wanted to address the residents too that have concerns in that area. I know that is at the top of my priority list to address that issue. I do believe that while I'm not a certified engineer in that matter, I think there are some issues that can be addressed through the initiation of the residents getting involved in those areas. So I've made a commitment to aiding in that process. I'll spend my time helping any resident out in that area. I know the city put on a nice program not long ago regarding rain barrels and collecting to try to minimize the surface water. So I think there's some options like that that we can continue to look at through the committee. So if that affects you, that standing water, please pay attention to the activities of the committee and feel free to reach out to myself. I'll be more than happy to try to help address these issues as we're working with the administration. Amendment to the Codified Ordinance 106006, Rule 25. Ms. Godsey said that the administration is proposing repealing Rule 25, which would eliminate landlords allowing their tenants to put water and sewer service in their name. Ms. Godsey said that the proposal to repeal this is because current Ohio law does not allow unpaid utility bills to be placed on property tax bills unless the property owner occupies the property. Mr. Smith asked if this would allow a landlord to turn the water off on a tenant. Ms. Sandretto said that it would only turn off water if the bill was unpaid. I'd asked what would happen if the tenant was not delinquent but the landlord didn't pay the bill. Ms. Sandretto said there's no perfect system, but the suggestion that this be deferred until next month, and she will think about the options. Under other business, I mentioned that I was not able to make it through the wastewater treatment plant on May 4th, and asked if there would be a second date, which we scheduled for May 6th, Friday at 1:30 p.m. to get a tour of the wastewater treatment plant. There being no further business that evening, we adjourned at 7:35. Respectfully submitting. Our next meeting will be held on Wednesday, May 25th at 6:30 p.m. That ends my report. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Service Committee.
Meeting was called to order at 5:30 by Chairperson Jan Materney. Committee members present were Kevin Fuller, Jan Materney, and Mark Weber. Also present were Bridget Cabot, City Administrator, and Kate Sandroto, Law Director. Approval of minutes, there being no objections. Minutes from the March 23rd, 2022 meeting were approved. Appointment to the Litter Prevention Board, Adam Cassie was present to be considered for appointment to the Litter Prevention Board. Mr. Cassie, I'm sorry if I'm butchering his name, said that he recently moved to the city and felt that this would be a good fit for him. The committee members stated that they reviewed his impressive resume and application, and it was quite impressive. There was a brief discussion about some ideas Mr. Cassie would like to see implemented, including public space recycling. The committee agreed 3-0 to recommend Mr. Cassie's appointment. Change order for Munger for station number 38 improvements. Ms. Cabot stated that the Munger Associates were the design architects for improvements at the fire station 38. She said that they received the final invoice with reimbursables and realized that she had not appropriately counted for the cost of permits from Wood County in the original agreement. She asked for approval of a change order in the amount of $1,307.80 to cover the cost of the permits. The committee agreed 3-0 to recommend approval of the change order. Mr. Weber said that he would like to tour the station to see the improvements, and Ms. Cabot says she will contact Deputy Chief Granada to get that set up. I almost said this is request to purchase mechanics truck. I'm going to read this, but we're gonna pull the legislation. The administration requested permission to purchase a GMC Sierra mechanics truck from the Perrysburg Auto Mall for $53,984.50 for the Department of Public Service. Current mechanics truck is 11 years old and has over 95,000 miles on it and has functionally outlived its useful life. Ms. Cabot stated the old truck is only two-wheel drive, a plow cannot be attached to it, and there is not enough room for the tools needed. She said the new truck will allow them to attach a plow so the mechanics can assist with plowing public parking lots. Mr. Fuller asked if the truck would have utility sides, and Ms. Cabot said it would. Ms. Materney asked if the purchase included anything else they're going to put on the truck, like an air compressor, and Ms. Cabot said they should be able to move equipment from the old to the new. The committee agreed 3-0 to recommend approval of purchase. Award bid for 2022 resurfacing. Ms. Cabot stated that they went out to bid for the 2022 resurfacing program. She said that there's a $2 million budgeted, but the engineer was nervous about bidding it all out this year because of unknown with costs. She said they would probably roll the unused funds from this year into next year's budget and hope costs are down. She said 4 bids were received, with the lowest and best from brick and paving in the amount of $709,997.94. I know I screwed that up, I'm sorry. The engineer's estimate of the project was $1,139,684.99. Ms. Materney asked if we had rated the city's roads. Ms. Cabot said we had a company rate them previously, but the city engineer will be doing it moving forward. Mr. Weber asked if there's any concerns because the bid is so much lower than the engineer's estimate. Ms. Cabot said the estimate was conservative because they didn't want to have to rebid. She said that the engineer spoke with the company, is comfortable working with them. She said the city has previously done work with Gherkin and there was no issues. Ms. Materney said the low bid amount could be because the other bidders already have a full schedule. The committee agreed 3-0 to recommend approval of the contract with Gherkin Paving. Other business, Mr. Fuller asked if the service department does pothole repair. Ms. Cabot said that they do, and they have already been out 7 or 8 times this year. She said that they keep a running list, so if you see a pothole, let her know. Mr. Weber said he participated in a couple of Saturday morning cleanups at the parks, and he wants to give a shout out to Judy Hagan for having them. There being no further business, meeting adjourned at 5:56 p.m. Respectfully submitted by Jane Attorney, Chairperson. Next meeting Wednesday, May 25th at 2022. Before I get to legislation, and because her husband's here, I'm really impressed with the job that she's doing with her public relations and stuff like that. Okay. I'd like to introduce Resolution 44-2022 and move that the rules be suspended, allow for its reading by number and title only, to dispense with the second and third reading.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Fuller? Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
Ms. Materney?
Yes.
Mr. McCarthy?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Van Huzen?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Resolution 44, 2022, authorizing change order number 1 to the agreement with Munger Associates Architects, Inc., originally approved by Resolution 62, 2020, and declaring an emergency.
I move that Resolution 44-2022 be passed as emergency measure.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Ms. Materney?
Yes.
Mr. McCarthy?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Van Huzen?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
As I said, we're holding 45-2022 for now. So I'd like to introduce Resolution 46-2022 and move that the rules be suspended, allow for its reading by number and title only, and dispense with the second.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
Ms. Materney?
Yes.
Mr. McCarthy?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Van Huzen?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Resolution 46, 2022, a resolution awarding a bid and agreement to Gherkin Paving, Inc. in the amount of $709,097.94 for pavement milling and resurfacing of various city streets.
I move that Resolution 46-2022 be passed.
Second.
Discussion.
Do we know what streets are going to be?
Yes, we do.
It's in your legislation.
Oh, it's in the summary. Okay, I was looking at the actual document itself.
It was 15% contingency, is kind of higher than normal. Can you kind of just walk us through that?
That was what was recommended by the city engineer, and it's based partially on the fact that he has more knowledge than I did when we did this last year. The first and second price of, the cost of everything, we'll compare.
I believe, let me ask, isn't part of a section of 5 Points to Roachton included in this?
There is a section of 5 Point Road from Pargillis east to Summerfield subdivision, and some of that contingency would be before that because we do not know the condition. We suspect the condition of the pavement and the sub-pavement, but until we're in there doing some core sampling, we won't know the full condition of that paving. So the larger contingency is mainly for that particular section of roadway.
I bet when you get into it, you'll find that it's deteriorated quite a lot.
That is very possible.
Just by looking at it, I'd agree with you.
Somebody, thank you.
Out of curiosity, do we remember what contractor did White Road?
Did what?
I do not
White Road.
recall the contractor that did White Road.
Okay.
It seems to me it was one of the larger firms, Gherkin, Shelley.
Bowers?
No.
Bowers, perhaps, I'm thinking Miller, perhaps. But I
If you don't remember, then it probably wasn't, so. That's all I want to know.
Oh, yeah.
Roll call.
Oh, Yeah.
We still have to vote.
Oh,
Mr. McCarthy?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Van Huzen?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
Ms. Matroni?
yes. Next meeting is Wednesday, May 25th.
Any other business for council?
Oh, you know I have stuff to say. Just quick update on the live broadcast meetings and whether we need to prepare legislation for that.
Yes, in the last council update I gave you last week, council may have noticed that we mentioned that we are in the training phase, so the software has been acquired. And Ms. Bradford up there is part of that software training. I believe our next software training is next Monday morning, if I'm not mistaken. I checked my schedule. I'm sure Amber did look at hers that far out, but I haven't to. So we are moving along with the training, and the software company is actually building the template for the software, for the actual agenda program, where we're learning how to use it.
Do we have like a generalized ETA that would be?
I would think, I believe we talked about beginning of July, if I'm not mistaken, in our last training.
We're shooting for July 1st, assuming training goes well, because we have to just make sure everybody knows how to use it, particularly people who have to do this and stuff like that. But it does not have to come to as legislation because it's less than $25,000.
Perfect.
I think that was one of the questions you were looking at.
Okay. Also, safety committee, there is something weird, I just want to point that out about that intersection at 25 and South By. It's just something's not intuitive, so I appreciate you guys.
So interestingly, it was virtually, it seemed like the next day, the lines were painted.
Okay. I haven't been through there in probably a week, but there was something about it that the first time I came upon it, it was not intuitive to me. That gave me concern, so I'm glad that you guys are paying attention to that stuff. Charter amendment, I don't know that we're moving forward with that or where we're at as a council on that, but I would like, I guess, an attorney we can work with proposed language. I understand that you're conflicted out. Should we, as a council, be searching for that attorney? Is that something the administration wants to provide? How do you want us to proceed with that?
We've gotten no instructions from council to do anything regarding that.
And this is just for changing the description for the law director, correct?
I believe that's, I think.
We have a fund available, we have money in the budget for.
I think you all need to decide what you're doing, if you're doing anything.
We probably need to make the decision here tonight then, because to at least get the ball rolling so that it would be on the ballot for November. Because we're getting closer to a time crunch if, and again, just to clarify, this would only be updating that one part, because I know there's other things that was brought up, but this was the only thing that we'd be looking at doing at this point.
I believe so, unless I'm forgetting.
Okay.
That was the one that made sense to me to address as a council. I thought the other one was probably better addressed as a charter review committee.
Wonder if it wouldn't be inappropriate to, and I'm looking at our law director, to look at suggesting someone for that.
Sure, I mean, but
Like suggesting an attorney that we might be.
Well, I guess the way I'm picturing it is maybe we have someone draft it, because I don't think it's going to be an incredible ordeal coming from someone with some legal experience on that sort of thing. I don't think it's going to take, no, I'm not going to volunteer for that. But I don't think it's going to take a bunch of time. It might be wise to just have that legislation and take a vote that way.
Well, I don't know that
because we're going to be voting on because we're going to be voting on the language that goes on the ballot, so to speak. Certain.
I guess the first question is, have you decided we're definitely changing? That we're putting something, moving forward with that? I mean, there's certainly people, administration could recommend council, but I'm not sure that we got any instructions until we are doing it. Has there been or do you want to hire?
I guess I'll ask right now for council. I mean, if you want to make a motion, we can start that route and see where we need to go at this point.
Well, I think I'll go ahead and make that motion that we I don't know how I would word this, that we have someone draft language to be on the general election ballot this fall.
Someone to address charter.
Yeah, the charter review portion where the law director is under the city administrator rather than just council and mayor.
Okay.
I think that sounds.
Say that again.
Okay, so I'm making a motion.
Yeah, say it again, Corey.
I'm making a motion that we amend,
Higher.
that we hire someone to write amendment language for the charter review as it pertains to the law director for the ballot that's going to be in November. I think that's
So for a charter change, not a charter review, because.
charter amendment.
Yeah. Does everyone understand?
Okay, well, what is the change?
Do you want to note what the change is?
Or do you want to just have a?
Yeah.
Well, that's why I was asking the question, and is that it's going to be easier with the language in front of us to vote, I guess, because right now I'm making a motion without the language that's technically going to be there.
I would encourage it.
So I'll make a motion that we hire someone to draft up charter amendment legislation for the law director position.
So as our good mayor said, there's funds in our budget for the use by council for attorney fees, correct? And so, and this certainly will be far below the 25,000. So
I would hope so.
I don't know if we could do that individually or we have to do that collectively to actually hire an attorney. So the funds are available, but I think maybe what some are asking is the clarification of what we're going to hire them to do. So
yeah, my intent would be to have them draft language that puts the law director directly reporting to only council and to the mayor.
There you go.
Is there any question about
I think that
how you
clarifies
hire
everything.
council?
I don't believe that one of you can simply
Hire
spend
counsel.
those funds.
It would
So
be
th-
4 to
yes,
3.
I think that this motion is necessary for you to spend those funds that are in your budget, which is what I believe the motion is for, is to spend the funds.
I was looking for, I wanted to know the language that would be looked at. So
He clarified, I think.
yes, he did.
Right. I'll second.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, I just want to make a statement again. I feel like this kind of undermines that charter review process. I know your intent, and I think there's another way through a managerial option to address, I think, what the potential issue could be. So I'm not in favor of spending the money on this. Again, I would be in favor of engaging a charter review early through that charter review process, but this fashion, I'm not so much in favor of.
It's fair.
Any other discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Van Huzen?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mr. Fuller?
No.
Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
Ms. Matroni?
Yeah.
Mr. McCarthy?
Yes.
I guess with that motion passing, the last thing, I think that takes care of everything. I want to thank our schools for providing their schools for voting purposes today and all the, I know we have a problem with volunteers at the poll places, so thanks to those people. Yeah, and good luck everyone that's on the ballot, especially Kevin.
I do have one comment. Sorry.
Sure, go ahead.
I think it's wonderful that Implex is now providing, and I'm sure you guys all have seen it, free internet at the city parks. I think that's wonderful. So.
Yep.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye. Any opposed?